We're recording.
Records.
This is
I don't have a mortgage. I don't own anything, but I've got loads of records. Anyway, sorry.
This is Wrong Speed Record Chat number 7. And we have Mr. Ralph Cumbers with us today, who is Bass Clef, essentially. He goes under other names as well. He has an NTS show. He goes under the name Open Hand Real Flames. Maybe we'll talk about that. I'm not sure how regular the show goes out, but it's always very eclectic and excellent. Hello, Ralph. How are you doing?
Hey, Joe. I'm doing good. Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to talk about pretty much my favorite thing in the whole world.
Records?
Yeah. Finals, as they're known now, Joe.
Yeah. And you're in Rotterdam.
I am indeed in Rotterdam. We're an hour ahead of you, so it's still a little bit sunny here.
Yeah. And how is it in Rotterdam? You moved there from London or Bristol?
Yeah, via another place in Holland. So I left like 5.5 years ago. I've been in Rotterdam like almost 4 years. I love it here. It's a beautiful city. It's quite industrial. There's a lot of water, big open space. It's a bit weird at the moment. We've got a curfew as part of the COVID restrictions, so you can't be out in the streets after between 9:30 p.m. and 4:30 a.m. But other than that, it's good.
Yeah, we didn't do the curfew thing here.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean there were riots here, so there would definitely have been riots back home.
and it's so calm in Holland normally.
You'd be surprised.
Right.
It seeds underneath the surface. Yeah.
So we're here to talk about records. Just also while we're here, then in the year 2020, Ralph Bass Clef put out this album,
You put it out, yeah.
Well,
together.
On
yes, Penny Farthing Records.
Yeah, Penny Farthing Records. We only pressed 100, and they sold out almost instantly. And it was a cassette that came out. How many years before? Like about 7 years before?
Oh no, 2011. It came out on April the 11th, 2011. Originally, the cassette.
Right, yeah. So 9 years previous, it came out.
Yeah, indeed. And
it was a label that you ran. Did you run it with Duncan Brown?
Yeah, Duncan Brown, ex of Hey Colossus, also known as Pipe Dreams. Wonderful human being.
Wonderful human being, yeah. And the label you had was called Magic and Dreams, correct?
Magic and Dreams, yeah, indeed. Yeah, we ran it for a few years. We put out one of his records and too many of mine. Cassettes and CDs.
Yeah. So this was
not proper vinyls, like.
This was a cassette. Yeah. I loved it so much that it's here now and it exists on vinyl. But also another cassette that I think you'd put out, but then Luke Younger released on vinyl.
Oh, Acid Tracks. Yeah, indeed. A couple of years afterwards. Yeah. It's again a beautiful pressing. Fire engine, sorry. That's the Acid Tracks fire engine. Comes out whenever the record is mentioned.
So yeah, Luke Younger put this out on Alta, and it's a double.
Thanks, Luke.
Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, we added some extra tracks from the tape.
Right, and it's a great record. It's a great record as well. So, there we are, and I've probably got others, but I couldn't find them. So let's just get straight into it. Although we missed the getting straight into it bit, but we're going to get straight into it from now. Could you show us and talk about a record from your favorite record shop, please?
This was a tricky one, Joe, because I was like, should I go for a current record shop that's open right now? Or in the end, I decided to go historic. So I've gone for Imperial Records in Bristol, where I worked for 5 years, rest in peace. Sadly, it closed in 2004. So this is ESG, South Bronx Story. I still have the price label there. You can make it out.
Yeah, love it. Oh, yeah.
1449. What actually happened with this one is that I ended up with 3 copies. It's not many records that I have 3 copies of, but it just kind of spoke to me. It was a different time, remember, where there wasn't a feeling that records would be available forever. You know, it'd be like a record would be there and then it would be out of press and you wouldn't be able to buy it anymore. And it wouldn't be available digitally to stream. It wouldn't be up on somewhere where you could listen to it again. So I was DJing at the time, so I bought a second copy, one to have at home, one to play, because obviously the ones that you played got really beaten up. And then at some point, I just thought I should get another one for insurance because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
Amazing band. That's a beautiful soul jazz job on the artwork and the vinyl. Just really, I don't know if you're familiar with them. Still going now, like a family band from New York. Just, yeah. And Imperial was such a beautiful shop, like best job I ever had. Met like so many good lifelong friends that I worked alongside. Our boss was really good at picking people who I loved somehow. And yeah, just really, really beautiful. Great shop. And what can I say?
Yeah, what years did you work at Imperial?
I started in 99, the end of 99, and I was there until it closed, 2004. I was assistant manager for a little while. Just, yeah, I mean, there was like 5 or 6 of us that worked there. It wasn't huge, sort of catered to not everything. It was independent and a little bit underground, but, you know, we had mainstream stuff in there as well. It wasn't like we thought we were too cool for our customers. No, we had really amazing customers, little kids, older people, everyone in between. It was like right in the middle of Bristol. Yeah, it was really good.
Yeah. There's I live quite near Bristol now. I'm about an hour south, so I will go up there and hit the record shops on occasion.
There's still a few.
There's some good ones up there, actually. You know, you can sort of say rough trade because rough trade's obviously there, but there's a lot of little ones that are very interesting themselves, I think.
Give a shout out to Idle Hands.
Yes.
It might be a bit fancy to you, but yeah, like really, really good shop.
Yeah, great shop. But there's a lot of secondhand ones you can do I think there's new ones. There's Friendly Records, I believe, is a new one.
Okay, no, Friendly, I don't know. Plastic Wax was the big secondhand one when I used to go down there. Yeah, where you could get 11. I don't know if it's still there or not. It was under the arches. You could get 11 records for 10 quid, which is what I used to do. A lot of time on my knees in that shop. Really, really good.
And I think if you go up, is it Gloucester Road?
Yeah.
There's about 4 record shops within like a stone's throw of each other.
Amazing. Yeah. You'd be hard pressed to find that in London.
Yeah. Do you have a current favourite record shop?
I'd probably give a shout out to Clone in Rotterdam. They also do distribution, but it's really beautiful. Really nice shop. Try and pronounce it. They're an Indonesian group. It's on Morphine Records, run by Rabi Biani. It's sort of a modern take on traditional Indonesian music, but it's just really, really deep. Super kind of haunting. Can you perfect kind of Twilight record.
Show us the front again, because you sort of froze up a bit, I think. Okay, yeah, nice.
It's a little bit shiny. Yeah. And then also this beautiful Ikusakan record, which I got last year as well, which is like electronic gamelan. Amazing, just repetitive, electronic, no drums, just absolutely beautiful. Really, yeah, Clone's really nice shop. There's a good few in Rotterdam, actually. Yeah, but that'd be my favourite.
Is Clone also a label?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they reissue a lot of like Drexciya stuff.
Yeah,
they put out newer techno stuff. They're very active. It's like sort of equivalent of Honest John's or something like that, I guess.
Yeah, I've got a few records on the label, so sort of rang a bell. Right, yeah. So that's Rotterdam, Clone Records. That last record you showed there looked like it was a screen print sleeve.
Yes, absolutely. You've got the eye of a record label on it. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah. That's Japan Blues, the label. Japan Blues are amazing. And it's just, a beautiful product.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, lovely. Let's have a record with a memory.
This was a tricky one, because the more I started looking for things, the more I found. Yeah. I think I've got there's so many records where I remember the day for some reason that I bought it or that came to mean something to me. But in the end, the one I've got it's this compilation that came with a car. It's called Fiat Million Hits. I don't know. One time we got a new car. I don't remember why. I just, we were a single parent family. We didn't have loads of money, but we got a Fiat Panda. I was probably 6 or 7 years old. And for some reason, the car came with this free record. It's still got the sticker of the car dealer.
Okay, that is mental.
It gets more mental. So it's just a compilation of pop hits from 1983, 1984. But for some reason, it was tied into a campaign about Madagascar. So it's a gatefold. And you get a double page info about environmental issues in Madagascar. I'm not sure why, again, it's associated with the car. There's a really nice picture of David Bellamy there.
And because the Fiat company is famously from Madagascar, right?
I cannot tell you, but this was the first record that was mine when I was a little kid. Like I'd bought some 7 inches before, but this was like the first big record, big album that I had. So I really it's Duran Duran, Tina Turner, Billy Ocean, Thompson Twins. It's just, a pop of varying quality. There's a few good tunes, but not really. But I read the inside of the gatefold so many times. Madagascar became like quite a magical land for me and somehow entwined with music. Like this was very much a gateway record for me.
Weird. I've never heard of a car company doing this.
Yeah, you've got the logo there. You got some terrible artwork.
I love it.
Great record.
Like records are they are like diaries, aren't they? It's like your wall of records is like a diary of your life, isn't it? It's frozen.
Totally. Many things that I could have pulled. I've got out this Tricky 12.
Yeah.
Ponderosa, which I bought the first time on Music and Video Exchange in August 94. And I applied for a job there. I got a job as a casual and I bought that record on the same day. So it's kind of,
right.
That's the first time I ever worked in a record shop, which is something I'd always wanted to do as a kid. So that's tied up.
Yeah. And was that in Notting Hill?
The Notting Hill, yeah, the Pembroke Road one. So not the main drag, just around the corner.
Right, yeah.
So 94, 95, I started working there just for a couple of years. And then after I left school, I started working there full time in all the shops, not only the record shops, all the shops. So I worked in the computer exchange, the sports exchange, the clothing shops, the camera exchange was the one that I weirdly, knowing nothing about cameras, but I used to help in there. And there was a guy there, Dan Grigson, who was an amazing guy, just a few years older than me, probably still very young, in his early 20s, but really knew a lot about music and had a sampler, which I was fascinated by at the time. And, also knew a lot of the history of music. And I just definitely learned a lot from him and really looked up to him. And then at that time, he went down to Bristol and made this record, which is on Cup of Tea Records, who were a sort of seminal Bristol kind of early trip hop, proto trip hop record. So this is the time of Tricky and Portishead. And I love this record, and I still love this record. And that really takes me back to that sort of summer of 1995 and working in the record shop and working alongside him and hearing about him going down to the studio in Bristol and building a song with a mixture of samples and live instruments over the top. So he had a guitarist and a vocalist, but then he was taking down samples and loops. And just that really, I was in bands at the time. I was playing bass guitar and I was doing drum programming and stuff like that. But that sort of going through that process by proxy, sort of hearing about him and then getting it mastered and getting it back and all this kind of stuff, just really made the world of records and recording, like making records, kind of possible. Do you know what I mean? So it was kind of super inspirational. I mean, it took me a long time. It was still like many, many years after that I released the first record, but it started me on the path.
It's interesting because everyone I'm speaking to has a record has this amount of records that have done that to them, and really it's only through looking back often can you go, okay, yeah, no, that was important, that record. At the time I was like, but it's really like it carved itself into me somehow, be it like that, because I've never heard of that.
Yeah.
But like I could show a record.
Sure.
like I did when I spoke to Bob, I had a record and I held it up, and it was one that only him and me would know because it was a very, very local band. You know, like totally local, but they'd self-released their own record, and that meant so much, and it sort of showed that it was possible. It's interesting that you can. I wonder if it's just through looking back like this, can you start like plotting your own story as you go back through your records? You can go, oh no, yeah, that led to that, and that definitely led to that.
There's definitely an element of that. I think at the time it sort of felt like the recording industry was such an industry. Even a small label feels like what a major label is now. Like you were like, oh, I could send a demo tape to this address that I've pulled off the sleeve of the back of another record, but I've no idea if anything will ever come to that. It seemed like such another world. Or, you know, I have to play like 1,000 gigs and get like a really big fan base before a record label will even like do anything in response. So to see somebody actually make a record, it's just like, whoa. Yeah, really mind blowing.
Yeah, it's big stuff, isn't it? Yeah, love it. Yeah. Hit me with a bargain find.
This one I kind of struggled a little bit, Joe, because I mean, there's records that I've bought for like £1 or €1, and then I've come home and I've looked up and I'm like, that's £30 record on Discogs, well, you know. But sort of the idea of, I kind of hate that. I kind of hate the discographication of, or sort of the idea of record, like if it's just that association of value in that way. So I kind of I've got with little emotional outlay, like a record I've just picked up and gone, I wonder what this will be like. I'll just get this and see. And then that record has become like super important to me later on. So in that kind of bargain sense, is that okay? I've not like kind of cheated the question a little bit. I've got two.
All right.
I've got Olatunji, Drums of Passion, which actually I got in Imperial secondhand, just because I thought I could sample the drums. And then this amazing, beautiful cover, which is Dede Sankri, Mita, who's a Mauritian musician that I've not been able to find out a whole lot more about. But both of these records have got one track on. This one's called Chango, and this one's called Roulette. That are just immense songs. Really, this one's kind of super pounding drums, really fucking weird. Kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, but with a massive crescendo. And this has a song that's about 1,000 BPM, kind of soca, like super bright colors, kind of bits of accordion, a synthesized bass line, just like pretty cheesy, but absolutely relentless. And I think both of these records, when I was DJing, like they were the records that I really wanted to play every night, that I would want to play. But they weren't songs that you could just drop because you would clear. Everyone would be like, whoa, this is way too much. What are you doing? So you have to kind of ascend to a point. But if you timed it right, if you got to the right point in the night with the right people on the dance floor, you could play these records and it would, you know, you would go to some very weird place and people would get really loose and they would get really into it. So, you know, both records, I mean, I think that one was £8. That was definitely €1. But I bought them with very little expectation. And then those records have become like so key to my enjoyment of music and DJing that they really paid me back, you know, 100-fold.
Yeah. Where were you DJing?
I mean, this was like a lot around Bristol and then in London. I mean, I DJed a lot in Bristol when I was working in the record shop there. You would get asked to a lot, and we had a regular monthly night, Big Ting, which is where I learned to DJ, which is a beautiful thing. But then I sort of put it on the back burner to do more live sets because I enjoy playing live a bit more, or it was a bit more challenging.
Yeah.
But then for a few years in London, I DJed a lot more regularly, and that led into the radio show a little bit, and just so whenever people don't always want to have a live set's not always appropriate, so it's nice to be able to play records. I'd love to have a night again now. That would be something I'd try and do post lockdown.
Yeah,
just super small scale, but it'd be nice to play records again.
Yeah, and I guess there must be loads of places in Rotterdam and the surrounding areas so you could do that.
There's a few. It's smaller. I think the problem is like most times you go to venues and they're used to people playing music from laptops or CDJs, so it's quite hard to find a setup where you can play records without terrible feedback problems. So that's why I've even got like terrible Ponzi weights for putting on top of records, because it's very rare to find somewhere where it's actually set up to play vinyl. Sadly.
Yeah, I guess I get that. Yeah, I see the DJ playing the 2 CD thing. Well, that's cool. And like it does nothing to when I don't want to see behind the curtain. Yeah, like
I don't know. I will go out and I will enjoy whatever someone's doing as long as they're doing it well. It doesn't really matter. But there is something magical that happens to the air in a space when there's a record. It's because, I don't know, it's the needle in the groove. It's the physical thing of the diamond against the plastic. It just moves the air in a different way, I believe.
I agree.
Like even in your living room, just the difference between playing a record and playing a CD, just the air.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just different.
No, I agree. It's the physicalness of it. I've got CDs. I don't mind. I've got no problem with CDs, but it's my records are set up like yours. Like, that's what my living room looks like. And that's what I play. I don't play CDs.
Dominating, towering over you, a curse, telling you never to move house ever again. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. No, I think this is gonna be a tricky one for you. Record that people wouldn't think that you'd dig.
Yeah, it's a really tricky one because, I mean, number one, I have a radio show, so you get to. Same with you. I'm sure it's the same thing. People. You can't really surprise people in that way. And secondly, I remember when that concept of guilty pleasures was first being thrown around, like 15 years ago or whatever, and it came out of the time when people were doing those school disco nights, like dressing up in school uniforms and I just hated all of that. I thought it was really crap. Like, if you like something, you like something. Doesn't fucking matter. So the only thing I could really think of, I thought I would take it as my opportunity to talk about Bay Boo Boo Mania, which is a fucking brilliant record, Joe. So, don't laugh.
I'm not.
And I also have it on pictures, of course.
I'm laughing with you. I'm laughing with you, not at you. I'm on board. Don't worry about that.
I mean, it's a genuinely brilliant record. I mean, I loved it at the time when I was a kid, and I later in my life became obsessed with it. I also have it on cassette and CD somewhere else in the house. I could sing every word, probably. I mean, it just exists as some kind of perfect nexus of proto hip hop, acid house, and pop music. And she did, discovered later that she did loads of the production and pre-production herself. She actually wrote a lot of the beats and the stuff like that. And then after this album was a huge success, she then retired from her music career to look after her mom, really sick. So I just think she's amazing. But that was pretty much the only thing I could think of.
No. What's she doing now?
She resurfaced a few years after, like 10 years after that. She did some stuff with the guy out of the... Oh, what's the worst one in Blur? The bass player. She did some stuff with him, which I didn't really like. I don't know. But that, one perfect album should be enough. If I'd done an album as this, you wouldn't see or hear from me ever again. I'd just be like, you ask me a question, and just be like, beautiful record.
This answers everything. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, really does.
Oh dear. I wanted to just jump in with a record just for the hell of it.
Do it.
Is that all right?
Do it. I won't screen my reaction.
Yeah. I wanted to get your thoughts on this album here. This an album that I think that I love this record, but I understand that if you were from this world, like actually in 1992, you might dismiss it as being like a retro throwback thing. But I love it for what it is, and I think that when I compare it in my head to your album. I put them sort of together somehow, and it's
sure.
You know this one? Of course you do. I would have thought.
I have, yeah. I'm gonna confess, I'm not super familiar with it. Like, I listened to it at the time it came out, not in '92, obviously.
No, well,
but it's not something I've revisited. Maybe it's time for me to give it another spin.
I don't know when it came out. It wasn't '92. It was.
No. I mean, what I'm gonna say, like 2010, 2011.
Yeah, exactly. And I just wondered what you thought about it, because it's from the same. Just in case this is Zombie. In case. Yeah. I know.
No, definitely looking back, just as I have done to that time, like, and a very iconic title. Also, very good title.
And the music really is from that era. You know, it's that sort of that world. Like, it sounds like it's in like 1989 or 1990 in a good way.
Yeah.
And I wonder if like electronic music like this is I can't get my head around it. I really like it. I can't work out if it's the same as a stoner rock band sounding like Black Sabbath 10 or 15 years way past when Black Sabbath were at their
yeah. I mean, I'm thinking also of kind of, you know, rockabilly bands who came after that, or I mean, electronic music is always looking backwards.
Oh, you think? Right. Okay.
Yeah, there's always some, you know, especially to that kind of time. It's always being recycled and referenced and remixed and reused. It's kind of in a constant state of backwards and forwards at the same time. I think it's, you know.
Yeah, it's like with say, like rap music. It's almost like a rite of passage to chuck in a sort of a little Public Enemy thing, just to show, you know, your history. You know, or even further.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
A Curtis Blow sample or something, just to show that you are completely aware of the lineage of the music. Do you think there's a touch of that about this world as well?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. I mean, you know, there's the famous Simon Reynolds hardcore continuum kind of theory of where all these musics lead into one another, but I never really grappled with the theory side of it that much.
No.
I think it's also music that's made with a sampler, as a lot of that music was. You know, you need things to sample, and a lot of the things that are readily available is the music that just came out, or came out 2, 3, 5 years hence. So it all gets kind of chewed up and rechewed and used over and over and over again. Like Alternate, who I loved when I was 17, 18. You know, I thought they were amazing. And then as I got older, I heard all the records that they sampled, all of their records are made from. It was just dance tunes from 2, 3, 4 years earlier than them, that they just, you know, slightly retouched. And it doesn't make it bad. It just, you know, it's what it was.
Yeah, it's just for me, it's because I definitely come from a more guitar background, but I do like delve in, you know, not as deep or whatever. So it's always intriguing to me how other genres do that and reference back. Like, you can see the Enjoy live album here.
Oh yeah.
Like, that was a 50p 12-inch I picked up. It's like, it's an album. It's live in Manchester.
Yeah.
And
live. Wow.
Yeah, it's a live album in Manchester. I really like the cover.
It's beautiful sleeve as well. Yeah.
But it's like a thin sleeve, you know, like just like that. But
okay, like a top.
Yeah.
Are they doing their hits, or it's what?
It's 40 minutes of like Enjoy live, like shouting over the music and air horns every 2 seconds. It's a 50p purchase.
Amazing. 50p well spent.
Yeah, but it's something that I can get really excited about when I listen to it. But I'm dipping my toe into something completely out of my depth, not willing to, and so I'm interested to know anyway why or how music ends up, like, it follows the story to where it is, to where this can become quite a big album, totally referencing something from 50 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my I don't really know where I'm going with it, but it's interesting to me.
Backwards and forwards at the same time.
Yeah. Hit me with a favorite 10-inch record.
Oh, now this is like 10-inch is an amazing format. I absolutely have got a lot of love for the 10-inch. I think it's beautiful. I know, as you say, like they cost as much money as a 12 to make, which is why people don't do them. The record shops struggle to display them in racks or used to. For me, they were always my favorite. Like I love them. And then if I think back to the dawn of like dubstep days, kind of 2005, 2006, those kind of eras when I got really excited about going out again. And of course, all these people they didn't have CDJs really. Well, they were there, but people weren't using them, but they were. So it was a continuous stream of new and unreleased music, but people were cutting their own dubs, so cutting their own acetates. So they go to this place like Transition, for example, in Forest Hill, and they'd cut people's new tunes, and they would all be on 10 inches. So everything in that genre was like a DJ would just turn up with a huge bag of 10 inches, and so it's also got that aura for me. So I pulled out in a sort of bit of self-promotion my first two records. RLF, Once Upon a Time EP, and Blow Your Mind and Your Speakers Will Follow, which came out on Rex Records, 2003, 2004. Beautiful artwork by Kid Acme.
Cool.
Kind of crazy creatures there. So Rex was an offshoot of XL. I did those two records with a really nice guy called Matt Thornhill, who was A&R there at the time. And just, it was my first record, so
is
it was a super easy.
Sorry, is that under the name Bass Clef?
No, they're under the name RLF. So before I had Bass Clef. RLF, it's just my name spelled wrong and without an A. I don't know if you can read the Kid Acme text.
Yeah.
Last time I looked, they were going for less than £1 on Discogs each, so you can still get those. But Rex Records was a really cool label. Like they did the Avalanches on there, first of all, some other weird stuff. It was, just a really very eclectic. And, I went up to it felt very much like a very exciting beginning to go up to the XL offices. I was in Bristol at the time. I lived in Bristol, and to go up to it's like a big record label office, and to go there and then to go to Rough Trade. And it was the days when they had promo companies who would send out records, like tons of records. So you get sheets back with people who'd listened to your record and writing a response. I don't know if you ever got any of those to your early records.
Absolutely not.
Oh, so it was, they'd send it out to DJs and stuff. So I remember being super excited because there was one from Lauren Garnier who'd written like, it's cool, weird record. And I was just like, fucking, and one from Matthew Herbert. And then John Peel played a couple of tracks over and it was just like, it was a little feeling of like, in a very small way, that dreams were coming true. To put out something on vinyl and to have people hear it. It was a really, special thing.
How did you swing that deal then?
A friend of mine in Bristol called Jamie Hombre, who was running a hip hop label called Hombre Records. I'd done a track on a compilation for him, and then he just sent my demos up to Matt in XL, and I think he asked him to pass them on to Mowax, which was his strategy to make Matt think that he might want them instead. And Matt very bravely did it, and I got an advance, Joe. It wasn't a lot of money, but an actual,
for a 10
never happened.
For a 10-inch record, you got an advance.
Yeah, for a 10-inch record, I got a little advance. I bought myself some monitors, and I bought myself a compressor. So I reinvested it in the gear. But it was very, but obviously they didn't want to do any more. We didn't do an album, and so RLF kind of fizzled out. And then when I moved up to London a couple of years later, I changed the name and started again.
Bass Clef. Yeah.
I'm just going to close the curtain because I think it's kind of gone weirdly yellow here. But I could have pulled 110 inches out, to be honest with you. It was an easy one.
Right. Here's the thing.
I just wanted to How High the Moon by Les Paul and Mary Ford. Do you know How High the Moon?
I don't think I do.
It's like, I mean, it's kind of a cheesy country song in some ways, but because Les Paul sort of pioneered multi-track recording and bouncing overdubbing. So there's like 8 layers of vocals, all of Mary Ford singing like in unison, stacked harmonies. I think that's the first time people had ever heard like one voice tracked on top of each other, on top of each other, on top of each other. It's like a completely psychedelic moment of crescendo. It's very, very strange, very beautiful. I mean, that's a 78, obviously. So I don't have a record player plugged in. I've got one on top of the shelf if I want to listen to it authentically. And then also Rhythm and Sound. Do you know Rhythm and Sound?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, they're just like, that's the best music of all time, I think, really. I wish I'd bought all of the 10 inches when they came out.
Yeah.
But I only bought My Empire.
In my mind, I think they're connected to, is it Basic Channel?
Yes, absolutely. Same 2 guys. Just when they got bored of reinventing techno, they went on to make amazing dub.
Yeah. There's they did the. I've got a lot of the CDs. They're like tins.
Oh yeah, Chain Reaction stuff as well.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Various artist records, amazing. Porter Ricks, loads of great stuff.
I think it's like a Monolake one.
Yeah, right? Monolake also. Yeah, Robert, I've forgotten his surname. Of course, one of the guys who went on to create Ableton.
Oh, was it? What in?
Yeah. Robert, I've forgotten his surname. Anyway, him.
And that because those Chain Reaction Basic Channel.
Yeah.
10 inches. They were all connected.
Yes. Yeah. Same guys. Same 2 guys behind it, basically. Mark and Estes. Yeah. Moritz Van Oswald.
Yeah. Because I for some reason I always link them musically, at least, to Pole.
Yeah. Same time, same city.
Yeah.
I think they don't get on. I think there's some famous German rift between Pole and all the other guys.
Oh, really?
I believe, but I don't know. All beautiful music, but yeah.
Yeah. Because I think is there just 3 Pole albums? Maybe he's done more since. I don't know.
Oh, he did a ton more, but those first 3, the blue one, the red one, and then the yellow one. Absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, like solid gold, aren't they? Yeah. Because when you were talking about the 10 inches, I thought you were going to drag out a I think it was a hyperdub 10-inch, and I think it was called Sign of the Times.
Oh, with the Game Boy track on the flip side.
Maybe, yeah. I thought I had it in my head.
Quarter 330.
That's what I was.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought, okay, he's going to get this. Here we go. I thought because that's one of the few I've got. Yeah, the 10-inch has a mixed reaction. So this is episode 7.
Okay.
And, you and one other person are in the definite I love them camp.
They're just beautiful, no?
Yeah.
I mean, what's not to like?
I don't know. I'm like Jeremy Vine, or I'm one of the. I'm the BBC, and like.
Okay, you're impartial, but I mean the fact that you're raising the issue, I think shows your true colours. That you want to like.
Which way? I've got a lot. I have a
double
lot
10-inch box set. That's a format.
I've got I have the Thundercat album. Drunk.
Okay. They did that on 10 inches?
Yeah, it's on like 445 RPM 10 inch.
Wow. Amazing.
It's kind of amazing, and it's massively irritating as well. Because you only get about like 5 or 6 minutes aside.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm exercising rather than listening to music, because I have to get up every. Yeah. So have you got any other records there you want to dig out and show?
Like hundreds. I mean, this Kraftwerk album I wanted to shout out, Ralph and Florian.
Yeah. Hold on.
One that's generally like, obviously I've spent a long time waiting to meet someone called Florian that I could make music with.
I thought you might mention them, so I've tried.
But what I think I've spent more time staring at this picture than any single other piece of album artwork that I have. I mean, it's just all the instruments. They've got their own neon signs, Ralph and Florian, which I love. And then I don't know if you can make this out, but in the middle, there's just the world's biggest gangplank. There must be room for like 20, 30 plug sockets on there. I mean, massive health and safety issue, but just, where do you even get one of those?
You don't.
Like, were they standard issue and sort of like?
No, they made them. I'm sure they made that.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful.
I just mowed the lawn out the front, and I borrowed my dad's electric mowing whatever thing to mow the lawn, and I needed an extension cable, so I had to get the band's extension cable from the van, and we have one with eight
wow,
or maybe 10.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and I had it out the kitchen window and dangling onto the garden, so that's the biggest I've got.
Still not enough for Ralph and Florian. We wouldn't be able to get them going.
No, they would have been. They were actually just outside the house laughing at me. They were like, "You've only got 10 holes for plugs." They're like that though.
Oh, bless them. I think. Rest in peace. Can I pull some more? Are we gone? How long?
Yeah. Go for it.
I mean, I have this love for weird private press records, or just very low records that had a very specific design or audience in mind. Sort of like this.
Okay.
Who's the harpist? She played in Las Vegas. So I looked her up after I got the record. She played inside a moving. So it's a restaurant. In the middle of the restaurant is a pool. And in the middle of a pool is like a human-sized clamshell. And she sat in the clamshell playing her harp. And it sort of slowly rotated around the room whilst people dined in Las Vegas. And this was the record that you could buy after you had your dinner. And you were like, oh, I like that harp player who was playing, Kippy. So I'm going to go and I can read you a little extract from the back of the sleeve if you'd like.
Please do.
I mean, it's all kind of pop hits of the day. She does a version of Yesterday, Born Free, What the World Needs Now, beautiful version of Blue Moon. It's recorded with a little bit of like Elvis-y slapback echo. It's a very weird record. Hops between mono and stereo for no reason. Anyway, seated atop a small electrically operated raft, which floats in the pool, Kippy plays her golden harp while the diners feast on such Epicurean delicacies as Maine lobster and escargot in the middle of the desert. An Evening with Kippy.
And where did you get An Evening with Kippy on vinyl?
This came from a chain of charity shops here called Rotterdam.
For €1.25.
Yeah, €1.25 is their standard price point for some reason. So you can get 4 records for a £5. It's good.
Any others? Any other?
Oh my God, so many, Joe. Like, I could talk a long time. I'll just do one more that has like an emotional resonance for me.
Yeah. Which
is the first Sabres of Paradise album.
Yeah.
Wanted Dancehall. Second Sabres of Paradise album, forgive me. Like, dearly, dearly love this record. Really meant a lot to me production-wise. Andrew Weatherall was the first DJ that I went to see regularly when I was a kid, so around this time. Like, amazing guy. But before all that, there was a club I used to go to called Whirligig, which was, so this is like 92, 93, 94. And it was in Shoreditch Town Hall once a month. So for some reason, the council decided to let out their town hall to a load of crusties to have a rave once a month on a Saturday. Kind of makes no sense now when you say it. So you go down there, there was no booze. You could bring in whatever booze you want, but they didn't sell booze inside. But, you know, lots of people were taking acid. Acid was readily for sale. People were smoking marijuana inside the council chambers, essentially, whilst the sound system played acid house and acid techno. Really, really strange. Really strange. And the resident DJ who played in the second room, the Chill Out album, was a guy called DJ Monkey Pilot. who just played. I mean, he's obviously gone on a gap year or something around the world. He played all kinds of weird world music. Like Deep Forest was really big there. So, you know, but also loads of amazing stuff. And there was one Saturday night where I was there and I heard this track and it had this trumpet riff. And I was like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. And I had no idea. I didn't think about going to ask him what it was, for example. But I had no idea how I was going to find it. And I went round to my best friend's house, Lev. And I said, oh my God, I heard this record on Saturday night. And I sang the trumpet riff at him, like somehow hoping he might be able to like help me find it. And he was like, all right, yeah, I know that. And he pulled out this Sabres of Paradise record and just played me. It was a remix of Wilmot.
Yeah.
And there it was. There was the record. And it was the most magical thing that could happen, Jeff. It was just like, how did you do that? What kind of like magician are you?
It's like
to be able to...
nowadays you can hold your phone up.
Oh, sure.
And,
you know.
What's that called? It's got a name.
Shazam.
Right.
Shazam. Yeah, he was human Shazam for me. But then the circle kind of closed a few years later in a beautiful way when I was working in Imperial. And I'd work on a Saturday morning and kids would come like first thing. And they'd obviously been to a club all night listening to jungle drum and bass. And they'll come in still really like hyper from the night out. And they'll be like, mate, you've got this tune. Like the bass line goes, you know, stuff like this. And then the times when you knew what tune they wanted, like you would recognize the bass line and you'd be like, oh yeah, it's this one. Yeah, you want this Ronnie Size 26 bass or whatever, you know. And you would give them the tune and the reaction, it was the same thing, but the other way around. And they were like, oh my God. Like, yeah, it was I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, well, you can't beat the enthusiasm of coming straight from the club to the record shop.
Yeah. It's true.
Yeah. Because so Andy Weatherall, did he mean a lot to you more than that record? Have you got other favourites?
I mean, the Two Lone Swordsman stuff is really, really amazing. I mean, the past couple of years, I've started listening to his vocal stuff as well, which I didn't really get when he was doing it. But Sabres of Paradise, Two Lone Swordsman, and all his remixes, right, yeah. Like awesome. When I first started doing the NTS show, I had the slot after him so I used to have to go down and, you know, I was so starstruck, Joe. I was ridiculously could barely talk to him. But it was always really sweet to me. Just always used to call me Young Ralph. And was always interested in where I was going to play. We always had like a really good chat. Just, yeah, amazing. Such a beautiful person.
Yeah, I didn't know him at all, but he seemed like a nice guy. And yeah, it's obviously a great loss. The album that I really like of his is The Fifth Mission, Two Lone Swordsman.
Oh yeah. I think that's the first proper Two Lone Swordsman full length, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
really, yeah. Beautiful record.
The scuba fella on the front.
Yeah.
It's for me. There's a few tunes on there where the bass line like massively influenced the way that I play. Because it's really simple. And it's like kind of rubber bandy. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. I think I even remember tracking it, but yeah.
Like that sort of sound. So clear on that, and it's so simple for the most part all the way through. Like you know, yeah, I absolutely love that album.
It's nice to be, because his production is definitely, you know, coming from his love of rockabilly and rock and roll. I always find a lot of his bass lines are definitely, even when he's using synths, they're definitely influenced by bass guitar playing. He's thinking of it as a bass guitar often, and then to have that go back the other way and to influence bass guitar playing, it's really, really nice.
Yeah, but it did. I love that album. It must have come out early 90s, right?
Yeah, I think just after, maybe 94, 95, just after Sabres. I think after, it was really one of the first things after the Sabres split.
Right. Yeah, love that record. So yeah. So go on, hit us with one more.
Oh. Then let's go for Son et Lumière, Karnak Temples. This is a record that I've found a few times, and I always buy it when I come across it. and you know, it looks a bit like it's going to be a sort of doom metal record or something, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Kind of weird, but this was a record, I guess, if you went on like an Egyptian cruise and they would take you near the pyramids and there would be a light show, like they would shine lights on the pyramids and there would be like some narration on the boat, and then afterwards you could buy it. So it's like a lot of, I guess it's 50s or 60s. Like the inner sleeves are literally made of toilet paper. It's the crappiest thing, but it's a description. It's like 300 years of ancient Egyptian history, voiced by a lot of sort of 1960s RADA trained English actors, really hamming it up with the bizarre kind of imitation ancient music, trumpets and drums in the background. So it's like, I was Tutankhamun II. I was born in the Valley of the Kings, and now this stele 400 meters high will commit. You know, it's a double album as well, and you pop the needle down anywhere and it's beautiful. And there's all really bizarre bits of like, you stand at the gates of the other world and soon you will cross over into the Valley of the Dead. You know, it's just, if you ever see it, just buy it. It's really good. I have it on tape as well. Like I come across it in charity shops every couple of years.
And I'm right in thinking that you play the trumpet. Trombone. It's
like a trumpet, but it's not as cool. But yeah, exactly that one. Yeah.
I think the last time I saw you live was at Supernormal Festival, and it was probably around 2013.
Okay. Maybe. I did 3 years in a row.
Okay. Well, the one
I don't remember which.
No, the one that I saw you at, my mind is perhaps melded slightly, but I'm pretty sure you had trombone and you climbed on the roof of the stage.
That was the first year I played. Yeah, Sunday night. I was the last act on Sunday night. It was I remember that because it was just like, it was a beautiful festival. I love that place. And it'd been I'd been there I got there on the Friday and I just had a really wicked time. It was really nice. Loads of my friends were there. It was really lovely. But that Sunday was really guitar-y. Like the bill, there was a lot of guitar bands and I just thought, this is going to go down like a shit sandwich. This is going to be really, people are just not going to be in the mood for me twatting about. And I got a bit nervous. And then I was just like, they were like, oh, you're going to play in this little stage, which is like a little hut cabin thing at the bottom of a hill over the other side. And I sound checked and I set up and everything. And I was like, can I climb on the roof? And they were like, yeah, all right. And so I just got up on the roof and I just did a sort of just massive mock fanfare, just really blasted out a note. And then just like over the top of the hill, I saw people just kind of heads appearing, and then just gradually people came. And then, yeah, it was a wonderful, I really remember that gig. It was beautiful.
It was really excellent. I loved it. Yeah, it's one of the, I speak about that festival quite a lot. And tomorrow on one of the next shows after you, I'll be speaking to someone who kind of helps organize it.
Okay.
So I'm kind of always obsessed with people's like top 5 things they've seen at Supernormal Festival. I don't want to push you into coming up with a top 5 unless you could. But for me,
saw a lot of good things there. Yeah,
same. And it's the variety of things that happen there that I really like. And I also like the fact it's not busy.
Just the right number of people. Yeah. No, beautiful. I really loved Charles Hayward solo piano set I saw there, just playing the piano and singing, just amazing. There's a band called Fish Police, who are South London. That was fucking brilliant. The time that Sculpture played, that was really amazing. Karen Guire, saw her there just a little bit. Yeah, like we were overlapping. That was really, really good.
I got some Karen Guire here.
Oh, lovely.
I thought I would.
Yeah, she's so good.
Yeah, just in case you mentioned that. Have some props. I didn't realize that she played there.
The last year I played, so probably 2015, I was playing with Oscillans, which is me, Charles Hayward, and Laura Canal trio. And we sort of played almost at the same time, so I only got to see a tiny bit of her set. But she drove me, her and her husband Mattis, they drove me down that weekend. So yeah, I hung out with them.
Cool. I know because
she was extremely pregnant.
Extremely pregnant.
Yeah.
Because Colossus played with her.
Yeah. Okay.
In Shipley in Yorkshire.
Oh, the Golden Cabinet.
Yeah.
Beautiful place.
Yeah, so we played up there twice. We played once with Karen Guire, and then other time we played with Not Waving.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
who I've met, but I don't believe I've seen or heard.
Yeah, and both nights were brilliant. And and I think probably because I saw them both, I ended up buying their records and just sort of, massively getting into them. So what do you think about doing that sort of thing and what you do live? How does it work for you? And do you think it's something that you want to get back into or do more of, or does it not? Is it too much aggro?
Yeah, I've got a complicated relation to it, I would say. Like, I really loved it. It was really my favorite thing for such a long time, or just like the thing I like doing the most probably is making music on my own in a room, which is still really, that's the kind of core, but I sort of learned to enjoy, making music in front of other people. And it's like something really special happens. It's totally different to DJing. It's totally different to other things where the energy you give comes back to you, or just when when everything kind of aligns, it can be just the most special thing. But after a few, especially when I was trying to make a living out of it, it took the joy out of a lot of it, and it became quite sort of a lot of anxiety and stress became associated with it in my mind. And I stopped really. I always used to love to travel on my own, and have the next day free to go record shopping or to look around wherever you were, all that kind of stuff. But it just became again another source of anxiety somehow, and I just stopped really enjoying it. And so I just thought, no, I'm gonna give it a break for a few years. And then Corona happened, and so everyone joined me, unfortunately for them, in that circumstance. So I don't know, like, never say never, but I don't even know what I would do anymore, really. I'd have to start again from scratch, which would be quite exciting. Yeah. But at the moment, I don't have a strong feeling of what that would be like.
Yeah, it's people have different things. I'm getting more into working studio stuff rather than playing live. I love playing live, but I just last couple of years, a couple of records that we've made, we spent more time in the studio, and it's been so we're not alone. There's like a band.
Yeah.
But when you're all like hunkered in and working on a thing, and it's pretty much all you're talking about, you're really focused on making it into a nice item that you'd be proud of. There's something quite marvelous about that.
It can be difficult as well, right? With that many voices, though, and everybody.
Yeah.
But when it all comes together, then it's multiplied by the number of people there are. It becomes more powerful.
It can be a battle. You can like argue about things, or everyone secretly gets stroppy about some decision that's gone against them. Might have to take a couple of minutes outside, but like that's as a group. So, but I know on your own as well, like just working on your own thing and creating music. I don't know. Well, for one, I don't know how people know when they've finished. That's always interesting, especially with electronic music. I'm always thinking, how do they know that that's the point where it's completed?
I think it's a habit, and you have to train yourself into it. Like for me, I know I have to finish a lot of things, and then some of them will be good. I'm not a person who can work for 6 months on one track. I know people who can do that, and I really that's amazing to me. But no, it's me. I have to finish 10 tracks in a few days, in a week or whatever, and then 2 or 3 of them will be any good, and the rest will go in the bin. Yeah, right. That's the only way.
Yeah. Like a good painter knows when the painting's finished, sort of thing. I think that's a saying. I don't really know if it is a saying. It sounds like a saying.
It does sound like a saying.
Okay, well, I'm going to show one more record.
Sure.
And then I want you to show one more, and then we're going to finish.
Okay.
So be thinking. Don't be listening to what I'm saying. You be thinking about what you're going to show. I'm going to show you one. I think it's someone that you might like or you might not like. Again, that Colossus played with. This album is a live recording from the gig that we played with him.
Oh, nice.
We even get a thanking on the back. And it's the.
I don't recognise the sleeve.
Keith Fullerton.
Collusions. It's Keith Fullerton Whitman, but this one I don't have actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I only have cassettes by him actually.
It's on.
Sadly, it's the Migo one. Yeah, he's a wonderful man.
And he played this. It was a quadraphonic sound force.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and he had the setup he had was, to my mind, thousands and thousands and thousands of patch leads. Running what was clearly like synthesizers and God knows what else.
Yeah. 2 big suitcases, right?
Yeah, and he was. We spent the day together wandering around the city because this is recorded in Nantes in France.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it was
where I've never been, I don't believe.
Yeah, it was I think it was called Cable Festival in
Oh,
France.
nice.
Yeah, it was. God damn, it's 2012, right? So, and he was telling us about how, at the time, he had a big beard, and he was saying about how he would go through airports with all of this gear, very suspicious, and there he was, unfortunately looking like what he. Fascinating and absolutely amazing live. And then so when this got released, and I couldn't have bought it quicker because being at the gig, being so excited about the gig, and then after him or before him or whatever. But it was because it was a mixture of like what we were doing and what he was doing, and also he played Peter Brotzman.
Okay, yeah,
as well. So as he played as like a jazz trio, him and a drummer.
Okay, that's a mixture.
As a proper
the three of you together, on one bill. Yeah, I mean Keith, like his live sets are amazing, and I just love how he's dedicated, to touring with such an untourable, an inconvenient instrument like that. With no memory, with no presets, with no storage. And he really embraced it. Like, I've found that very inspiring. And he really, like, every show is even if you're starting with the same, he's got the same system, he's got the same setup, but the shows are all totally different. And the fact that he released so much live material is a testament to how amazing they are. I've seen him do all kinds of different sets on different tours, and they've all been totally different. He did an amazing show, I remember, at Cafe Oto with Mark Fell, the two of them, which was insane. I supported him once there, which was super intimidating just because of how much I like him. He was very lovely and very friendly, but really, really great guy.
Yeah, well, I got a few of his records, but this one is just sort of special just because of it was that gig we played. And I think all of us that saw it were kind of mind blown by it.
I'm going to have to track it down. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was just something we've never seen before, or since, in fact. And so it was And yourself, give us one final.
I'm going to go for something that I bought new, but is an older record, which is Parolees Wonderland.
Okay, don't know.
Which I got a sort of MP3 blogs, which were like all the rage in sort of 2004, 2005. And I found a lot of music, and then they sort of, with more file sharing, they became super unpopular. But in the past couple of years, we've sort of come back around again. And there's a few that I really like. And there's one called Slow Goes the Goose, which is really good. He posts a lot of amazing stuff. And he posted this record, Parolees Wonderland, and I just downloaded it because I liked the description. And I listened to it over and over and over again. And so then I looked the record up, and a label had reissued it in 2013 on vinyl. So I could, and it's a guy with a sampler. It's recorded 83, 84. So very early in the time of sampling sequencing, but it's a weird kind of mixture of animal noises, tango, and just pure joy. It's just melodies, just really amazing melodies. And I just really liked that way of finding new music that was also old music, just from someone's, because there's no album reviews anymore. You know, that, I mean, outside of very, very few music magazines, there's not that much music writing. And I really loved reading a really passionate description of an album and then going out and finding it.
Yeah.
It's just a very, like, something I really, really miss. And so that way with the MP3 blog was just a nice way to kind of re-experience that.
Yeah, like where do you go to read? Like, do you think it's died because we can just listen to it?
Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's a weird one. I mean, you know, they still do one review a day on Resident Advisor. You know, the Wire magazine still reviews a lot of records. The Quietest does some. There's still, I don't know, maybe just people, aren't interested in reading. I just really always really loved. I mean, 9 times out of 10, you'd read an amazing review and you think, oh, I've got to hear this. And you'd listen to it and it would sound nothing at all like that. And you'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But just on the times that it would start you on something, I don't know why reading about music is good, but it is.
Well, I've still got hundreds of old Wire magazines.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes I will just sit and read them. Like, because I think it's because maybe if I'd moved to Rotterdam, I probably would have thrown them away rather than take them with me.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
But because I haven't moved to Rotterdam,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I will just drag them out and it'll be like, oh, right, yeah, like throbbing nice. On the front of this one or whatever. So I mean, you go through the album reviews and this is like a 10-year-old magazine.
Yeah. Wow.
And you can still go, oh shit, I should have picked that. That sounds like something I would like now. Rather than maybe I didn't.
Probably easier to find a lot of the things that they write about now that someone's posted online than it was at the time. Perhaps.
Yeah.
It might have just been like a super limited CDR or something, and now it'll be on YouTube. Well, now's the time to read those.
Well, I do have this slight theory of when people go the albums of the year, you know, so like in November of the year, someone will put up albums of the year, and I kind of wonder sometimes whether the albums of 2020 or 2021 should come out in 10 years' time. So like in 2030, someone should go, right, now we're going to do the albums of, having not done it that whole time, because like, say, I don't know, like a big indie rock band like Shed 7, right? Or one of these sort of, you know, like my guess is they got in the top 40 of the year, whatever the hell they
were. Okay. Do you think 10 years is enough to sort the wheat from the chaff? Should we not be doing like the top albums of like, you know, 1021 AD, like 1,000 years? Maybe, I don't know what kind of timescale is appropriate for that.
Okay, the madrigals of 10.
I mean, there's a lot of like, you know, you can look back and see composers who were much more popular than Beethoven in his time or whatever, or much more famous than Mozart, and now no one listens or performs any of their music and there's no recordings of it or whatever. But maybe that's too far, because it just becomes obliterated and you just end up with Shed 7 and no one else. You know, maybe, so I don't know, 10 years could be good, maybe longer.
It's just a fit. Sometimes I think that, you know, anyhow, this is whatever. This is it was really good to talk.
Yeah, thank you for putting up with me, Joe. It's much appreciated.
It's really, I love it. Yeah, it's great. So it's good to, there's some stuff that you, especially that last thing you showed, I'm going to be checking that out for sure.
Nice.
So, Mr. Bass Clef, we're going to wave bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
Whilst we're waving, I'll stop it and it will look really like bullseye. Okay? Wave. Bye-bye.